So it turns out that day hikers are actually the most vulnerable to a search and rescue situation, as well as to life-threatening situations while they're hiking. And there's a reason for that. It's because they're not prepared. All across the United States national parks from 2004 to 2014, day hikers comprised 42% of the 46,609 search and rescue cases, almost 4 times the amount of the next closest group, overnight backpackers, at 13%. You know, you might think, I'm just going on a short couple-mile hike, it's only going to be gone for an hour, and I'm going to just bring a bottle of water, maybe a fanny pack, and my cell phone. That's probably going to be okay most of the time. But, you know, like wearing a seatbelt in your car, you wear it not for the thing that's going to happen every day. It's for the rare situation where something bad happens. It can save your life, right? We're going to talk about 7 deadly mistakes that hikers make that can easily be avoided if you just are prepared. Now, I grew up in the Boy Scouts. Boy Scout motto was be prepared. So I was always trained or taught any kind of outing that you're going to go into the outdoors, you want to always be prepared with what they call the 10 essentials. And so that's actually going to relate to what I'm talking about today. So here are the 7 deadly sins of hiking and how you can avoid them. The first deadly sin is that you don't have a map and compass, or you don't know how to use them. According to the experts, anyone can get lost out on the trail, even skilled hikers, especially if you don't have a map and compass. You know, sometimes it's veering off the trail to get a photo or to chase wildlife, but often it's really at a decision point along the trail where you have to make a choice. What looks like a junction in the trail, and it's really, sometimes it's just it could be a side trail, it could be a game trail, or it could even be a water bar that looks like a trail, and you veer off the trail. And that was the case with Sue Clements, a 53-year-old hiker from Ohio, who in 2018 didn't survive getting lost in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. She veered off trail and she got lost, and she didn't have what she needed to make it through the night. Went on a recent hike, and I have a little Ziploc bag in my backpack here, which, by the way, is my backpack. I have a map in there of the area that I went to, and I just printed it off the internet. Now it has, it's a topographic map, so it has the elevation changes. And so usually if you have a compass and you go along the trail, you can tell if you veered off, you can tell where you went based on the topography. Because usually if you're hiking along and you're going off a trail, it's gonna be another little side canyon. And so by having that map, you go, oh, clearly I went off here. I can tell based on, there's a little peak here. I got this from Big 5, and it's just a little compass that even you can put it around your neck. Little bonus thing, it has a little whistle on it. You can blow this whistle repeatedly. That would draw attention to you if there is search and rescue. And inside of this guy, there is matches, which I'll talk about in a minute. A note about apps. So apps, I use the All Trails app sometimes, and I record my hikes to see the elevation change and the distance I went, and they're pretty accurate. The problem is your phone can die. If you download the map though, it does work even if you don't have signal, so that's good. You know, you either have to have a solar charger or some extra batteries, but even then, I mean, it's just cheaper to have a map and a compass. You can print the map, so I would have it as a backup no matter what. Number 2, you get wet and you freeze. We live out here in the desert in Nevada, and it's piping hot during the day, especially during the summer. It's October, you're hiking through the desert, or you're in the mountains in the summertime even. If you get wet, if it rains, you get wet, and nighttime falls, even at 65 degrees, you can get hypothermic, and that can be deadly. That's the thing, that's the eventuality that people aren't prepared for when they're hiking, especially a day hiker, often, is that they're not prepared for the night. Obviously, having a change of clothing with you in your bag so that if something goes wrong, you can change your clothes later. That could be a huge thing. But this is let's see if I can show you that here. This is a rain poncho that just fits. It's very small if you look at it compared to my head. Very small guy. And you could also use a 55-gallon trash bag, just stuff in your bag if you don't have one of these. But either way, that would help prevent you from getting wet in the first place, and that could save your life at night. And then number 3, you just aren't prepared for a cold night. So in that scenario, even if it doesn't rain, you don't get wet, the nighttime is what kills a lot of people who are in search and rescue situations. And I'll explain something to you about search and rescue operations. It usually takes a while before they discover that you're missing. The last thing that a search and rescue wants to do is put their own people at risk, and nighttime operations are riskier. So it's standard procedure for search and rescue to wait until the morning before they send out a search. Expect to stay overnight if you get lost. Even a person with 10% body fat can live without food for 30 days. You'll need water sooner than that, but you probably still have 72 hours for that. What kills people is freezing to death overnight. So, recommendation for you to avoid that from happening. So even if you're going on a short hike, you have this stuff in your backpack no matter what. I got my backpack here. At the very bottom, I got a pair of long johns. And I'm in the desert right now, so if it got really cold at night here, it's not going to get so cold that a pair of long johns aren't going to do the job. And probably even in the mountains in the summer. Obviously it's colder, you want to have a huge thick jacket, even if it's during the day and not cold enough to wear that jacket. Whatever it's going to take to make it so that you survive the night. Another idea would be to have an emergency blanket because it has multiple uses and it's reflective, so it'll keep your body heat in. A couple other things that go along with the 10 essential items. Obviously warm clothing, but have a pocket knife and a lighter or some sort of way to light a fire. The pocket knife can help you make kindling that you can light the fire with. The lighter or matches, obviously you can light the fire with that. A note on the lighter, if you want to make it waterproof, wrap it with duct tape. Okay, so it doesn't really matter how benign it may seem that your hike is going to be. Let someone know where you're going. It's best to give them a copy of the map, show them where you're planning on going. Some people even suggest that you let 2 people know who are likely to notice that you're missing. Maybe let them know how long you're going to be, and if you don't contact them within a certain time frame, then maybe they should alert the authorities. So number 5, it gets dark and you can't see. So then what happens is you're hiking down the trail, you're trying to get back, you're getting scared, trip over something and you fall off a precipice and die, or you break your leg and you're stuck out in the middle of nowhere, and then that causes the search and rescue situation. A headlamp. You can get this at Big 5 for super cheap. You can go to REI and get an expensive one for $100, or you can spend, I don't know, $20. I'll try to have a link to some of these things. Oh, note on that. I saw this from another YouTube video. You put your headlamp in your backpack and then you pull it out later on and the battery's dead, even though you put a new battery in there. It's because somehow, some way, the button got pushed and your headlamp was on inside your backpack that whole time, all day long, so it's dead. So one way you can avoid that is by flipping one of the batteries the opposite way, and then that'll prevent the battery from being drawn. There won't be a circuit created and it won't draw down on the batteries. Okay, number 6, you dehydrate. Dehydration can lead to death, so let's talk about that. Like I said, a stroll on a hot trail can turn into a much longer experience because you get lost. So you always want to be prepared. For every day that you're in the desert, they say, you should have at least a gallon of water. In the summer, maybe more. Obviously, if you get stranded overnight and you didn't have 2 gallons of water, that might be a bad thing. So some people will bring a water filter or a straw. But in the first place, it's good to start with a hydration system. I put this inside my backpack. It's 3 liters, which is 100 ounces. A gallon is 128 ounces. So if I have that plus a 1 quart bottle, then I'm usually good for a day. Of course, the problem with the filter or the life straw is that if you're in the desert like here, I probably wouldn't find water anywhere here. So that's one of the big concerns. Number 7, you injure yourself and you don't have a first aid kit. And you're walking along, you trip and you break your leg and you can't get out. Having some bandages, some tape. An ace bandage would be great for wrapping up your leg. You could obviously use your shirt. You could use a stick. So there's things you can use that aren't necessarily from a first aid kit, but having at least a minimal thing, a minimal package of items that would include gauze, some tape would be great at a minimum. And then having some moleskin for blisters and some bandages, maybe some aspirin, those kind of things may make you more comfortable as well. All right, that is it for the 7 deadly mistakes hikers make. But I'm gonna throw in some bonus items here that will make hiking suck less. And actually, these are important as well. It certainly could be. in certain situations. So let's talk about the sun protection. Obviously the sun is damaging to our eyes and to our skin. A sunburn can obviously make your life miserable. It can drain you of energy, and that could actually create a search and rescue situation too, because if you get a sunburn, you get heat stroke, anything like that, that could disable you from being able to get out of where you are. So protecting yourself from the sun will help you avoid getting heat stroke or get overly fatigued from the sun. Long-term health reasons like your eyes and skin cancer are considerations as well. So sunscreen, obviously, a large brimmed hat, sunglasses, and then you'll probably notice that if you watch us hiking, a lot of times we're wearing long sleeve shirts and pants, even in this desert here. In fact, if you've ever seen people in desert places like the Middle East, you will always see them covered from head to toe in clothing because it protects them from the sun. And you know, here typically people wear shorts and short sleeve shirts in the sun because they like to get the sun, but in reality that's, especially if you're going to be on it and for a long time, that's not the way to go. In fact, watch people who are working out on the lawns or are working in construction, long sleeve shirts, big hats, pants. You gotta stay out of the sun. So number 2 is having some trail food. Some trail food will make your experience more comfortable. It'll make it suck less, okay? You gotta have a little bit of energy, especially if you're going on a longer hike, but it can also improve your safety. It could become crucial. Especially in the desert here, there's this thing called water intoxication. If you're drinking a ton of water, you don't have enough salt, you can actually get water intoxication, make you sick, and it can be life-threatening. So it is good to also have some salty snacks as you're consuming tons of water. Trail mix, like a Cliff Bar, stick some in your bag, even on a short hike, just have it. So just remember, a survival situation can happen to anyone. No one's above it. I think people who are skilled hikers often take things for granted, and they're often the ones that things happen to. So always be careful, always be prepared, and you can make sure you don't make any of these 7 deadly mistakes that hikers make. Thank you for watching. We're gonna have some videos coming up about outdoor cooking, doing some steaks in the primitive way, right on the fire and on rocks. We hope you'll subscribe to the channel, like this video. If you have any comments about these, if you have any other ideas about what people should absolutely take, leave a comment below. Most of all, we hope that you're safe out there. The outdoors is a beautiful place. It just takes responsibility to be out here